And we are live. Welcome back, guys. I haven't spoken to you in pretty much forever. It's been, what, 2 years?
Yeah,
Maybe more.
belong
Yeah,
to.
it's been
No,
ages.
Andrew, what time is it by you? Good evening, Drea.
good evening. It's 8 p.m. here in Athens, man.
Hmm.
In the States, Andrew,
It's 20 past 10 in the morning.
in UK,
Nice.
Steph.
6. Yeah, it's 20 past 6 now, so still nice and bright. It's going to be quite sunny until about 9, 10 p.m. So,
She's
Sun
cold and dark at 7 in
yeah.
old SA.
also sets later. Yeah,
For any of you guys who haven't been on with us before, we are the Lean Body Show. Andrew Hudson is an IFBB pro bodybuilder living in California. Craig Brown is a body transformation coach and a guru living in South Africa. Andrea Papas, we call him the professor, the guy with too many qualifications.
The Greek Spartan.
The Greek Spartan. If you follow him on Instagram, you know just the wealth of knowledge he has. And I'm a bodybuilding / transformation coach now living in the UK. And we used to have a big podcast in South Africa back in the day. We just didn't put much time into it the past 2 years, and we are going to restart this thing, I think.
oh yeah, for sure.
Well, some of us are busy immigrating and moving countries and starting businesses, and some things got to take priority.
Absolutely. How have you guys been?
Yeah, good, man. Good. I've been traveling these last 2 weeks. I'm here in Greece, so I've been good. All of us just get caught up in our world. Work, life. I think that's also one thing. We get caught up with work and we get sidetracked and we just lose focus. And I just glad that you messaged us the other day, Steph, and finally get this thing going, because if it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be one of us. So we should really keep the fire alive and keep this going and really make a mark on it. Really put it out there. The world needs to get to know more of you guys. You guys are special guys. You're all very knowledgeable, and I think we all play a part in the field. And we should really keep this going.
The original bro chat, eh? Now it's been like it's become really big with other podcasts, but I feel like we did it first.
We did.
Anyway.
We did. I've been asking, where have you been? Why haven't you been doing it? But we back, and we just keep riding this wave, man.
Yeah.
But good to be back, guys. Good to have you, and good to chat again. And let's get the party started.
And how's life in California?
Life in California is really good. We're just busy having like the longest, coldest spring that they've had in about 30 years. So what you guys might think is cold, it's not that cold. Like, there has been a little bit of snow, but everything's like really green and beautiful. It almost looks like it's been photoshopped. Like the grass is like ridiculously green, and the leaves on the trees are ridiculously green.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the people here are saying it's just like it's miserable, and it's not so nice, but like it's still, for me, like it's beautiful every day.
Yeah.
South Africa's had the wettest late part of the season before winter.
Yeah.
It's just great and cold.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In the last 30 years.
And Steph, UK is just cold and overcast.
You know what? Like it started. The sun came out last week. And now basically until August, it's going to be amazing. It's like Johannesburg weather in the 30s. It's going to be great. At the moment, it's about 20, so it's just going to be picking up. And it's those really long days like you would have in Europe too. So like we're in for the good while now. It's only when autumn and winter starts, then it is really like very short days, very rainy, all that kind of shit. So
what is it? What time does the light come out? It's quite late, 9 a.m.
It's long days in the morning. So we've got blackout curtains and stuff. If I
in summer, winter.
Yes, in summer it's like 6. It's bright, and it won't get dark until I'll ride my bicycle to gym at like 10 o'clock at night. So it stays nice and bright for long. Winter by 4 in the afternoon is gone. Like there's no light. It's Veg,
in the
bag.
morning?
Morning, I would say, when we walk the kids to school, it's like dawnish, like it's still a bit grey outside, so roughly 9 o'clock-ish. So short days.
I know USA, you see the proper 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Like Joburg's kind of winter and summer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know America's like proper autumn, summer. There's this absolute division.
It's incredible how harsh that break is. Like the leaves are brown, and then you wake up one day and everything is green. Like it's just like overnight. Like that's astonishing. Yeah.
Steph, do you think in like miles and degrees Fahrenheit now, or everything's still the normal?
I have to convert. Like I must be honest. Even when it comes to currency, whenever somebody says like 300 pounds, I'm like times 24. I'm like, fuck, that's expensive.
24.
Yeah.
When I started, it was all pounds. So I still work in the American system.
Yeah.
Pounds and
with my clients, I do everything in grams on the nutrition side of things. I think it's just easier, it's easier to make things more accurate like that. But and then I've just kind of learned like, okay, like 60 degrees is like it's coolish, 80 degrees is warm, like 100 degrees is hot. Like I don't convert anymore. And then also like on the miles thing, like with distance when you're driving and stuff like that, I'll just think in miles now.
It catches me out.
In a while. When
it catches me on the bicycle, Andrew. Like when I ride and look, and it's like, 4 miles, that's fine. Then it's actually shit. It's a pretty long pedal.
But on the money side of thing, it took me about 2 years to stop, like maybe like a year and a half to stop like converting everything back to rands. Especially now, like if you're earning dollars. November will be 3 years, eh?
Yes.
In the US. No, that's madness.
Time flies.
I can take me Munster and get a Starbucks now.
The Starbucks there is crazy. Like every single Starbucks you drive past. If you go past there like 6:37 in the morning, it's like a queue around the block. People sit in the drive-thru waiting to get coffee.
That's ridiculous.
There's nothing.
One client was a producer in New York, and I had to design his nutrition plan on his way to the studios. And I had him take pictures of every single cafe, eatery,
New York,
coffee, and I would design his day-to-day plan with that, and then obviously catering on set. Very different lifestyle.
And the food here is very different too. Hey? It's like, I mean, I'm obviously so used to all the South African food, and South African food in general is like so much more tasty. But it's like it's there's so much variety here, so we always like try new things and check this out, and it's like it's nice. I love Mexican food now as well.
I don't think anything beats Greek food for me.
I haven't had much.
I don't eat.
I do like the tacos in Mexican.
I don't eat onions, cucumbers. The minute I come to Greece, you don't even have to put oil on the tomatoes and the cucumber. You just eat it like that. It's like unbelievable. The food here is so ridiculous. It's so hard.
Is Greece a success at the moment? Out of all the European countries,
it's on the up and rising. I mean, there's a lot of development. There's a lot of
Portugal.
Portugal as well, eh? But Greece up and coming. They're building like a huge mall, casinos, like a huge thing. There's a lot of investors that are investing here, but it's up and coming. They're catching up with the times, because Greece always used to be like 10 times behind. Now they're really getting into like their fitness now. A lot of people, that when it comes to the fitness industry, they were like very caught into their old dogmatic ways and the perpetuated myths that still prevail. Like keto, carbs at night are bad, but they're starting to understand like the basics of nutrition, macros, calories, and stuff. Carbs are not bad at night, or they're just the basics that been debunked. So they're meeting up with the trends, the latest. They're getting it, and you can start to see it. Like restaurants are becoming more aware of like what they're eating, like or what they're serving. People are becoming more aware. They're more into their fitness. Staying active. Eventually, countries. Well, not every country, but I mean, eventually catch up.
It's in California here. I think it's law that everything you have to show the calories of all your food. So every single anywhere you go, you can see how many calories is in it.
Even in the pubs here, like you go to like this grubby pub that sells like mash and pie, you know, and it is the calories and everything is on there. So it's
500.
yeah.
But like legally, they're allowed to be out by 20 to 30%.
Yeah.
And they'll always face. That's
Yeah.
one of the problems with if it fits your
But-
macros, trying to be
But it
active.
helps a lot already, Craig, because I don't think you know, not even people who do this for a living really think about it that much. Like if you buy a schnitzel at a restaurant with the sauce or whatnot on, and you see on the thing 1,800 calories, then you understand. Geez, bro, like that's why it's been so difficult to get in shape. You know,
It's that awareness, and that's why it's a good thing for people to start tracking their food and getting an understanding. Like, I mean, the other day, my friend at the restaurant, he's got a South African restaurant here, and we were going, and he was telling me because I've showed him about calories, macros, weighing the food, and he weighed and tracked some of his food, and like we looked at his salad, and he says, "Papas, the salad looks good," but he says the dressings I put on, like, geez, like, I mean. Like it can be like 800, 900 calories because it's got croutons, it's got this dressing, it's got mayonnaise, it's got this. And I'm like, yeah. And then his burger, he actually counted his burger. He put the patty, I mean, just the brioche bun, just the bun itself, with not 300 calories. And the patty is like 250 calories. And the cheese, easy 1,000, 1,100 calories. And he's got these steaks, but he puts these sauces and he puts butter on it, like the steak alone, a ribeye. 300 grams of ribeye is about 600 calories. You're adding butter, you're adding sauce. That's 800 calories just a steak. Then you've got fries, and they're like, oh, but I'm not losing weight. We look at the research shows people underreport and misreport.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. And you even like I was actually a couple of times like I was dieting to get lean again. And I was just like mindlessly just having a little bite here, a little snack there, a little taste here, whatever. And I actually said, let me just for that week, let me just account for those bites and snacks. And I actually added them up. It was like 600 calories across the week. And I was dieting on 2.5, which is my dieting deficit, my deficit range where I start. And I'm like, put me back straight up to maintenance. Now, I would never lose. You don't like a little bite here, a little taste there, it all adds up.
So, Papa, I want to know what are you currently doing with your physique now? What's your goals? What's happening?
Nothing, man. You know what? I mean, at 41, I don't think I can really get bigger. I mean, I've been training for how many?
You're that old, bro.
22, 23 years. I mean, the feeling to get bigger now is like this.
Yeah.
Pump myself with drugs and, take steroids to get to that extra level. So for me, it's just about staying in the shape that I am now, lean year round, I'm not, I've got this degeneration on L4, L5. I've got my neck as well. So I can't really do any heavy movements like I used to. I can't put any lumbar spine compression on the back. So I've got to be very selective of what I do. So I train more or less like 3 times a week now. I do more like a dog crap training type style. Like similar to Dan Trudell's workout, just obviously I've innovated my own way. And then I just box 2-3 times a week, and I just skip, run, just sort of like what I've been doing a lot of my clients as well, like sort of like a hybrid approach, where I'm incorporating other modalities, not that functional training that everybody, this misconstrued concept that people have this functional fitness, and it's a whole lot of horseshit. I hate it when people start to talk, functional training. What do you think fucking bodybuilding is? It's functional training. Hello. Yeah. Another time, don't get me going.
Nothing as functional as a squat and a deadlift, eh?
Yeah, anyway. Oh, don't get me going, because then I'll open up.
Andrew, I want to ask you about, speaking about the training thing. Have you found that the guys in America train differently to what the guys in South Africa train?
No, not really. I mean, I find it's a lot of the same stuff and a lot of the same issues. I'm more a proponent of like the full range of motion stuff. I like volume over time and progression that way, not necessarily just progressive overload on weight alone. And what I'm seeing here is very, very similar to the issues. I'm just talking general. And if I walk into the gym, I look at people training. A lot of this stuff is this weird, like half range of motion, When they're doing side raises, they're kind of doing like a half squat too. Like at the top, it's this, and it's like this weird. Or their squats, they're doing like, or their leg press, they're doing like these little knee bends. It's not even like a full. Like it's nice and deep.
Drugs, you can get away with anything.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's a lot of the same stuff. I will definitely say that on like the nutrition side, in general, people are more educated here. I've got a lot of people here that are just happy to just say, hey, just give me my macros. I'll take it from there. Which, like, I prefer to just follow some sort of plan. Just then I don't have to like worry. It's not on the back of my mind. I know, okay, those are my meals for the day. I'm eating that. And I'll have a lot of variety in vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. But the plain basics are always kind of in there. Yeah. And if I'm following sort of a rough plan, then I find it easier than trying to manage it, like logging everything and But a lot of people are a lot more educated. They're more than happy to just say, hey, give me my numbers. I'll hit them.
I mean, it's just maths.
Level of the person at
the same time.
Yeah. Somebody starting to say, here's your macros. You've got to give them the plan to understand it. Somebody that's doing it, give me my numbers, I'll do it, or hit my calories and protein. I always think structure, routine, regimentation is always going to work. It creates less room for error. You get in tune with your hunger and your satiety signals, your circadian rhythm as well. And research even shows the more structure, routine, regimentation show better fat loss, even 5-6%, even though it's marginal, but that small stuff, over time adds up.
Over time.
Yeah. So I always, but again, you give somebody a plan and you tell them do this, do that. Not everybody's going to follow it, So you've got to I always, as a coach, you've got to you've got to try and meet the person where they're at. Because if I give strict meal plans, it's like you guys do with your obviously competitive athletes. They have to follow more of a strict, rigid approach. But if I find I give that just be flexible with foods, give them a bit of guidelines, have some flexibility. But again, prep athletes, you've got to be dialed in a lot more, and I think that's where that 1-2%, that pre, post workout plays a big bit of a role as well,
I mean, I just think as always, it's like what you give your clients, especially in the beginning, that's always just a starting point. Whether it's if it fits your macros, whatever it is. And over time, if they stick with you, you can work it out. So even if it's underreporting or if it's it's a lack of compliance, whatever the issue is, you can deal with it as long as there's a contact and they must understand there's this process that's going on. It's not just like, hey, here's your plan. I'll talk to you in like 2 months' time. It's like, okay, where can I help you? What are you struggling with now? What is, and those are the devil's in the details, all those little things that add up over time. And it's always just a starting point. Like I've had a lot of people where, okay, these are your numbers. You're following this now. A few weeks in, it's like, okay, there's been zero progress. And that doesn't always mean that nothing's happening, but sometimes it's a case of, maybe they're measuring incorrectly or whatever the issue is. And maybe then, okay, let's rather switch to something a bit more regimented. Here's the plan you got to follow. This, be a little bit more strict. And what I would do usually is like, I give people like a meal plan and I give them substitutes for each option. So like, at this meal, you should have this much protein, this much carbs. These are your 15 different proteins. These are your 20 different carbohydrates. I want you to vary through them. If it's off season, more variety. And then as you work it in closer to the show, that list of what you're allowed just gets smaller. It doesn't get to like only 1 or 2 foods, but it just gets smaller over time. And that's how I would manage most people.
Yeah.
I'm very similar in my approach with the lifestyle or competitive. Lifestyle are more about, yes, Craig's advice, how I would eat. But I'm more interested in finding your diet. So what is Andrew's diet, not Craig's diet, within your boundaries. And that only happens by active communication. So the clients that communicate a lot have the best results. I want a tortilla here instead of rice, Sure, let's work it in.
Mine is quite different, guys. Like I do 600 milligrams of tren, bit of carbs, and then we're good.
So I've enjoyed more, the challenges that come with disorders, the challenges that come with obesity.
Yeah.
That has been of the most interest to me lately.
Yeah.
You know, ladies that come to me with fertility issues or period issues from a lifetime of competing incorrectly. Seeing that, you know, and then likewise on the obesity front. First, teaching them to stop gaining weight, like you were saying, we work on levels. You know, sometimes stopping gaining weight could be a goal, and then from there you're in a position to lose. And it's just gathering their trust.
Yeah, that's a big point you hit, because a lot of clients will come to me. They've been dieting, doing crazy diets, going to silly coaches, and I tell them, I'm transparent with them. I say, you know what, you going on a diet now is not gonna. You're just gonna dig the hole deeper. You know, you've got to, you know, get your body back into a healthy homeostasis, upregulate your hormones, metabolism, get your body healthy again, get your blood markers healthy. Good, you know, trying to follow another diet now, you've got to trust the process and look at the long-term picture. But people want instant gratification. And then let's get your body healthy again. Let's, you know, get those good habits, behaviors. Let's exercise a bit less, you know, because your body's under stress state. And women's physiology is different to males. They respond differently. They adapt harder. Their biology is changing week to week. Hormonal changes that influence brain chemistry and all that stuff. And everybody's psychologically driven differently. So you've got to take into account all those factors and how do you apply systems. You know, like I've had this client. She told me, thank God you put me into like a sort of a primer phase, which I like to call it. You know, we prime the body, getting it ready for when it's in for a fat loss phase. And her body responded much better. If I had put her in a fat loss phase, she would have never responded. Her body would have just been fighting back. A woman's body's its resiliency is very, very low. That you know, when there's too much allostatic load, you know, you get HPA axis dysfunction, T4 to T3 conversion. You know, all those things start to go spiral, you know.
Don't you find it funny is like if someone is on a relatively strict plan that's clearly not working, what they often think is like, okay, I just need to be much more strict. It's like you can't get this right, but now you want to get this.
Like double down on their mistakes.
Exactly probably the opposite of what they do. That's the natural instinct is to like, hey, let's just go even more strict. But I'm like, but you're having difficulty following this. Like the reason why you're not progressing is because you're clearly eating or doing something that's not allowing you to really be in a deficit.
Because let's get your deficit right here.
Before we go.
Because all you're looking for by going stricter is a bigger buffer to fuck up.
Well, not that. You've got to also understand
you're
adding more stress to the organism. Sometimes you're adding more stress to the body to fight back, more exercise, more dieting, stricter. You know, then you're just you're digging the hole deeper. You know, yes, there's a point you can get more strict, but the body, sometimes I find with a lot of clients, the minute I give them a bit of like a diet break or a bit of a refeed weekend, they come back Monday, their weights drop because all the stress has been relieved. Their body, you know, I've tapered their volume down, I've given them a bit more carbs. They were like, wow, coach, what's happening? Like, I'm looking leaner, I'm looking tighter. That's the perfect read that. That will teach you more in that book than any other book, the stress response, that, you know, than any other book, honestly. I wish all coaches could read that book. They'll learn more in that book than any other book, any other flipping course, anything. I promise you. Once you understand biology, then you understand how the body works. There's no two ways about it. And, you know, fat loss works in phases. You can go 2-3 weeks, you're not seeing it, and then boom, you see a drop. And then 2 weeks, and then boom, you see another drop. And then sometimes also, because things aren't moving on the scale, on the metrics, doesn't mean things aren't moving on the surface. So that's why it's important. You've got to read a client's back very well. And also, this is where females still don't get it. They focus so much on the scale, and the hormonal changes that are happening are going to really, you know, you could be losing 1 kilo of fat, but you can be gaining 3 kilos of water. You know what I mean? After a month, going on. But they're so fixated on the number. I'm like, the measurements have gone down. Look at your photos. You're visibly leaner. Don't focus. That's why I always say the best way, if you're going to, this is talking of females physiology, men are pretty much more subtle in that step. But, you know, you always want to try and measure it the first month when they finish menstruation, and next month as they finish menstruation. A 8, then you can compare those, because comparing it day to day and week to week is not going to give you much. It's always going to be skewed. Ovulation, estrogen, it's going to be higher. PMS, as progesterone, tends to spike, it's going to be higher. And every female responds differently. I've had some females PMS time, their weights actually dropped. So it's, and also the brain
ovulation week goes up.
The block in melatonin production, the downstream in GABA, serotonin, dopamine. They get hungry, cravings, and all those things affect the mood, the bloat. We got to deal with it as coach. But
it's an interesting thing you're highlighting.
We can understand it, we just can't experience it.
No, we can understand it. I don't even think we can understand it because
what are you talking about? I am a woman. What are you talking about?
Huh?
Of course you are.
But I don't know if I told you off the subject. I just commented on the post, and he made this claim that low-fat diets are going to tank your testosterone. Don't do it, or that's bad for you. And I'm like, that's not true. Any low-calorie diet's going to tank your hormones, and low-fat diets aren't bad for people. It's steroid hormones,
low fat and zero fat.
Estradiol, progesterone, testosterone are all made from cholesterol. The bodies make cholesterol naturally from acetyl-CoA. So, in that case, a lot of hormones are made also from amino acids too. So I just put it into his comments and he blocked me. I mean, instead of saying, oh, okay, I didn't know that, I want to learn, I didn't know that. And there's research showing that, a low-fat diet, can actually be very productive within healthy hormone ranges. You know what I mean?
Andrea, I had a very, very similar conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago. He's telling me about how men especially need to eat all this extra fat to help with testosterone and blah, blah, blah. And his life changed dramatically when he did this. But, oh, by the way, he's on a significant amount of TRT. Like a few hundred milligrams.
That helps. I mean, even too much or too little fat can be problematic.
Low carb was 160 grams. To 200 grams, depending where you were in the world. That was the definition of low carb.
Yeah.
Now, the definition of low carb is keto. It's like under 50, under 30.
Yeah.
And that's going back to your fat story. When I talk about low fat, I'm talking 35 grams to 45 grams. I'm not talking zero.
Yeah.
Or that's impossible anyway, just the residual fats and everything. But if you went as lean as, like tin tuna, 1 gram per tin, and broccoli, you could probably get it under 15, which would be seriously unhealthy.
Yeah.
But when you discuss this with people, that I found is that everything's been skewed to the extreme.
Yeah.
So when you say low carb, and you give them 120, 140 gram carb diets, they think, oh my God, how am I going to, it's too much carbs. And it's like, that's the literal definition of low carb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you give them 45 grams, 35 grams of fats, 25 grams is kind of my barrier. But it's all relative to the person, One lady now, I skewed her macros heavily on the carbohydrate side due to her exercise commitments, which was 7 days a week and multiple hours a day to try and match her EA. And it worked, by doing that and bringing the fat at a perfect level to support her hormonal profile, but not in excess, like keto excess, like 300 grams excess. So I think that's where people are getting skewed in their definition of what is low fat.
Yeah.
And what is high fat. High fat's not 288 grams like you have on keto. And low fat is not 45 grams. To a 50 gram woman or a 54 kilo lady,
Yeah.
So
off topic.
I think averaging around 20 to 30% of total calories from fat, you're in a good range.
Yeah.
I think you need. Yeah, you can go on. I mean, there was a study. I think it was. Let me just think. Who was it from? Where high fat impacted. Let me just think.
There's a lot of long-term negative.
Where it impacted females' reproductive health. So you got to look at the whole body. And also they say, oh, you need fat to increase testosterone. Now, some studies show that, some shows no significance. And when you look at the statistical difference, it's like so marginal But people like to cherry pick. Oh, some studies showed high fat improved testosterone, but it's so insignificant. Like Menno Henselmans, he's really great at this study found women need to do 10 to 15 reps, and but it's one study, buddy. And what's what's the age, what's the population, what's the study design? You look at all that, and people don't understand, one study said this, and we get all warped in that and all excited, and it's like, okay, he's just trying to create clickbait headlines to catch the naked eye.
People also like to just read the abstract, and that's
You know what I mean? It's just like the abstract and the conclusion, but they don't understand the methodology. And science to me is becoming darker and darker now.
It's becoming an issue.
So many journals, pseudoscientific journals. It's actually crazy. I actually listed it on Instagram, and most of them are not. None of them are peer reviewed. They all ask for manuscripts. They actually garbage studies, and the way they conduct these studies, it's actually, I can't believe scientists do this. It's ridiculous. Science is becoming more like science fiction.
The money making machine.
So easy to manipulate the science
journals. The journals are just looking to make money, so they publish anything.
You got to be journals you subscribe to and what journals you're looking at, because you can really, if you don't understand science and the scientific literature and how it portrays itself, you can really find yourself in a deep hole.
I think with our studies specifically, and with knowing Lyle, and speaking to Lyle, even just your diet around the cycle, which he promoted quite some time ago. We've been discussing it, and people weren't taking it that seriously. But even other top educational institutes are now taking it seriously.
Well, everything Lyle said 10 years ago, everybody's saying it today. But he said,
we chatted about.
Alan's book of flexible dieting, Lyle said that 10 years ago. It's nothing new.
He just got the charm of a brick, but
and Lyle doesn't care about popularity.
He's really cool.
Doesn't care about the fame, the money. He just wants to state facts, and you know what? And 9 of the times he's right. I have to agree with him. And as much as he's called out me many times, and I've been wrong, and I admit I've been wrong, but as he's wrong, I just think he just can't admit it, But I mean, listen, he's one guy I respect tremendously. He might not be the nicest guy sometimes, but he knows what he's talking about.
Sounds a bit too much.
Guess who I ran into in Manchester last week?
Soccer player.
Not a soccer player, no. Those you see as well. Chavez, Broderick.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Was he there for a com?
Yeah, there was a massive fitness expo, and the guys who do the blood testing and stuff.
Oh, with those guys.
They were up here, and I walked through the expo, and he is. It's like it's weird because you watch him on Instagram, and next thing you're like, "Fuck, what you doing here?" Yeah. You know what I think we should do? I would love, we're all from South Africa, but I would love to take Broderick out there to do an educational seminar. I just think it'll be phenomenal. Like the laying the groundwork so that people understand where they're coming from. Because I do think, thinking back about way back when I competed and that kind of stuff, there's this little formula of like you take this and this and this, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this is how you do it. And
for us, that's 1975.
Yeah. You need a base understanding first before you can build your cycle, understand how it works,
I mean, the way we do things these days is so different to
massive.
It was different already 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But now it's we're riding TRT levels.
Yeah.
Like literally like this much above, and just using synergy.
Yeah.
Just goes so much like you did. Like,
it's blood work, and it's mint.
Yeah.
When done correctly.
And like he was always a big proponent of like having your medium intensity cardio in there so that you have like a good stroke in your heart, and having some intense cardio and all that kind of stuff that like I know I've neglected when I was young. I was like, I'll just eat less. I won't do cardio. You know.
I emphasize on that a lot.
Yeah.
Not because more calories,
Mm.
but it increases your mitochondrial biogenesis and
Yeah,
upregulates
absolutely.
HSL, catecholamines, norepinephrine. So you're burning fat by upregulating enzymes, not by burning calories. You increase your capillary network, your heart health, better blood flow to the working muscles, your workload improves, your recovery capacity improves, your force production because you're getting better oxygen, force
Yeah.
out. I mean, you're able to perform better in the gym. So it's adding other benefits additional to the cognitive benefits, the brain health, the oxygen, the nutrient delivery to the working muscles. So cardio has a myriad of benefits, especially the zone 2 cardio.
Yeah. And I find with my clients, like especially in the gaining phases, like when the appetite starts dropping and it becomes difficult to get all the food in, just adding a little bit of cardio in, 15 minutes 3 times a week, and you get the guy's appetite back. And then you can keep making improvements. Otherwise, you hit a certain target and the guy doesn't want to get past and that kind of stuff. So all those kind of things, like practical things.
I get all my clients to do cardio year round.
Yeah.
Tell them, my clients tell me, is walking cardio? No, if you're getting over past a certain heart rate, you're not working that system you want to work. You know what I mean? You're not working cardiovascular system. I mean, walking's great, but it's not cardio.
So I mean, it's probably the biggest predictor for longevity is like what do they say, grip strength and the amount of steps that you take and so on. So I do believe that is a massive contributor for lowering your lipids, all that kind of stuff. But like you said, there's definitely a massive place for doing some intense cardio in your plan as a bodybuilder. Like
the one works the hypertrophy, the one works the right ventricular hypertrophy. When you're doing the blood flows in the heart but doesn't flow out, it occludes. Other one, you're doing the other aerobic work, the blood flows in and out of so both have benefits.
Yeah.
One thing Mark took me,
because I'm gonna start confusing people if I start talking about the biochemistry and everything. But I mean, both benefits: the anaerobic pathways, the aerobic pathways, different thresholds, glycolytic systems, and all those things. So it's important to incorporate both. So, obviously, like if my clients are busy and they don't have time to do, because if you listen, low intensity, moderate intensity is like you've got to flip and sit on that bike for 30-40 minutes. Nobody wants to do that, but you got. So if it's time efficiency, I just say, listen, just do like a little bit of HIIT cardio or some conditioning work or something like that. I'll just do like a HIIT protocol where it's in and out, 10-15 minutes.
I think that's probably the benefit of living in a European country. Like I don't think Craig necessarily has the the freedom to just go and take a long walk or like get on a bicycle and go to the gym, that kind of stuff. Like we live, like I don't ever have to get on a treadmill. Like I walk to go and fetch my kids. I walk back. That like I hit 10,000 steps without trying. And then you hop on the bicycle to go to gym. Like life has changed so much for us. Like we used to have 2 SUVs and live in a gated community, that kind of stuff. Like we just didn't buy a car. Like we both have bicycles and we just bugger off and